But in fact, to actually focus on building a relationship, building a personal brand that differentiates you from the thousands, absolute thousands of other realtors, say in Ontario, because there's tens of thousands just in Toronto. How are you going to stand out if people just simply think you're another realtor? Zillow is coming to Canada. What does it mean to you as a real estate investor, realtor, or just general Canadian that owns real estate? We're going to discuss that and more in today's video. As a Canadian, you may not be aware of what Zillow is. However, it's been quite disruptive in the US, and presumably at some point in time will disrupt our Canadian real estate market as well. Quick brief, Zillow essentially, it's a publicly traded company that's an online real estate database. It's a real estate marketplace. It essentially sells ads as well as generating leads for realtors. Let's first just discuss exactly how is Zillow coming to Canada and how do we think it's going to impact the Canadian market. So first things first, Zillow isn't opening up a Canadian website. In fact, in some of the interviews and articles I was able to find, it sounds like they currently have no intentions to do that. However, I assume that that's short-term intentions. Long-term, it'd seem crazy for them to completely ignore the Canadian economy. It'd be like ignoring one of the largest states. It'd be like essentially almost ignoring California. They wouldn't do that as a business model, so I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they come to Canada. The way they're coming to Canada right now simply means that they're going to start posting online listings of Canadian properties to showcase on their US website. So you're still going to go to Zillow.com. But what this will be doing is it's going to be opening up a ton of new eyeballs to Canadian real estate, whether it be for investment properties, to relocate, or just have a second vacation home. Think about it this way, millions of Americans every month go on to Zillow and check out real estate. So if now Canadian real estate is being showcased there, presumably it's going to create greater awareness among Americans, and in theory it should be creating a greater demand for Canadian real estate simply because there's going to be more awareness, there's going to be more marketing towards Canadian real estate. Like in the US, Zillow will be partnering with Century 21 here in Canada. So again, my understanding is that means they're going to be showcasing Century 21's listings on Zillow.com, Century 21 Canada's Canadian real estate listings, that is. The big thing though, as a Canadian investor or just a Canadian in general, is Zillow in the US states the entire sales history of a property. So they've accessed different databases to get the sales history on the property that's being listed. This is massive for Canadians because for the longest time, there's been this ivory tower that all the realtor boards have been sitting in where they keep and hold all that data closely held and considered it a trade secret. However, recently, the Toronto Real Estate Board just lost a case where they were trying to keep and continue to keep it secret, a case they've been fighting essentially since 2011. I'll have links to a bunch of different articles in the video description down below, so go check those links out if you want to learn more or get deeper details. The Supreme Court of Canada will not be hearing an appeal from the Toronto Real Estate Board about the privacy of sales data. So what this means now is that Toronto realtors can start sharing their sales data. It means that other entities can start accessing that, and what it actually means is simply there's going to be way more information for us as the end consumers or as investors, which is a huge win for us. In fact, the thing that really frustrates me for the longest time is that realtors and realtor boards will claim that they have our fiduciary duty in mind and that they're working on protecting us. However, they were creating this giant wall of information asymmetry where they had all the information on sales data and we were dependent upon them to get access to that data. The playing field just got a little bit more level. It's still not perfectly level, but it's headed in the right direction. And again, long term, I would expect to see Zillow open up a Canadian website, which again is just going to create more information for the average consumer, for the average investor, which is a giant win for us. Honestly, I wish this stuff was available when I first started out investing in real estate like 8 years ago. It would have been transformative for me. My learning curve would have been such steeper simply because I would have had so much more information to work upon. Whereas when I started investing in real estate, I had to depend on a realtor to get every piece of sales data. And sometimes that can be like pulling teeth. So this is a massive win for the end consumer and a massive win for investors. So thumbs up to the Supreme Court of Canada. You got this one right. I really appreciate it. And so does every Canadian and every Canadian investor. Long term, what does Zillow coming to Canada mean for realtors? Great question. Well, first of all, if you're working with Century 21, I think it's probably going to result in at least a slight advantage, which is great for you. If you're another realtor working for a different agency, it definitely means that there's going to be more competition. However, again, creating more awareness among Americans about Canadian real estate should be a net positive for the Canadian real estate market in general. So maybe those two things will balance out. But at the end of the day, what I think this means is realtors, as always, throughout this information technology revolution we're seeing in real estate, they're going to need to step up their game. It's not going to be enough simply to pick up the phone whenever you feel like it and answer your clients' calls. You're going to have to continue to provide more and more service and continue to become a greater and greater expert in your field of expertise if you want to survive. At the end of the day, as Zillow, Redfin, and all these other information and service providers enter the market, it's just going to create more competition and more pressure on realtors and more pressure on their commissions. So I expect it's going to continue to become a more and more competitive environment, and you're going to need to continue to step up your game as a realtor. In particular, I think you should focus on differentiating yourself from the pack. And one of the best ways to differentiate yourself is to create a personal relationship, kind of like I do with you guys here. Now, while I'm not a realtor, I think it would be very wise for realtors to really lean into and embrace social media. And not only simply as a marketing tool to push and promote your sales, to push and promote your listings, but in fact, to actually focus on building a relationship, building a personal brand that differentiates you from the absolute thousands of other realtors, say in Ontario. Because there's tens of thousands just in Toronto. How are you going to stand out if people just simply think you're another realtor? Like everything on my channel though, I want this to be a conversation, so I'd love for you to jump in the comment section down below. Let me know, are you excited that Zillow's coming to Canada? Are you disappointed that they're only half coming to Canada? Do you wish that they were opening up Zillow.ca immediately? Are you a realtor? Are you concerned about Zillow or the long-term implications of Zillow coming to Canada? And how, if you are a realtor, let me know, how are you differentiating yourself from the competition? There's a ton of realtors out there and it's hard to cut above the noise. So I'd love to hear, and I'm sure my audience would as well. Does anyone want to predict how long it'll take for Zillow to open up Zillow.ca? Fingers crossed, 2019, that's what I'm hoping for. Again, from my perspective, as the end consumer or an investor, if we're getting more information, if there's less information asymmetry, it's only helping us make better, more informed decisions. And as an investor, being able to access the Zillow sales history is going to be massive simply because of the fact that you now have more information to work with. And while we may all like to think that we work in an efficient market where prices are set and accurately set to exactly where market conditions are, it's not the case. A seller with 100,000 equity or a seller 20,000 underwater on their property are going to have two extremely different outlooks regardless of what the market price is. And those are important negotiating points for us as investors or even just for end consumers looking to buy their own personal residence. So I'm extremely excited by it. But that's just me. Let me know your opinion in the video comment section down below. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it. But if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point, guys?